Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and let me welcome you formally to this book launch. As you have heard, my name is Chris Ezeillo, and I have been given the honor and privilege to talk about this book written by our friend Ezeillo Joshua Ezeillo. Say distinguished chairman, sir, ably represented by Professor Ezeillo, the president of African University of Science and Technology. Distinguished guests, all the honored guests here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. In my former role as an assistant director there and head of procurement unit in the National Planning Commission, I doubled as a program manager of a World Bank-sponsored economic reforms and governance program. And when I became director, once in charge of infrastructure department, later economic growth department at the commission, and much later administration at the Ministry of Budget and National Economic Planning, I was privileged to go on monitoring of World Bank and European Union funded projects across states of the Federation. And so I have been on both sides of the aisle. One, as a program manager, being reviewed myself by visiting auditors and reviewers. And secondly, as a leader of a delegation going to monitor projects across the country. So I know what it means when our author talked about the frenzy and tension that project management teams feel when auditors and reviewers come. So those tensions were because of lack of clear-cut understanding of what was required to satisfy auditors or reviewers beyond reasonable doubt. Recalling those days, it is a privilege to stand before you today to be asked to review this very important and timely book titled Project Management, Meeting Project Auditors and Reviewers' Expectations in Sports. A practical guide for project managers, auditors, and reviewers by the man that brought us here, Mr. Ezeillo Joshua Ezeillo. The author, the way I see him, is a focused, calm, composed, intelligent, smart, and experienced professional, both in Nigeria and internationally, with an eye for detail. A thoroughbred quantity surveyor of repute and financial expert who has worked at the highest level of governance. It is not easy to be a writer. And so when Prof was talking like I had written books, I was admiring him. And so I admire my friend also. Because it requires determination, self-discipline, and maximum concentration with an objective to help society at large. So the author embodies all of them. And so I salute and congratulate you, sir. Thank you very much. In increasing contemporary and complex development environments, the success of projects is no longer judged solely by completion, like what our brothers in politics of today are always promoting. I have completed this project, I have completed that. If you know there is me, I do this. But projects are also judged by compliance to work plan and rules, value for money, accountability, and transparency in all facets. Across both the public and private sectors, projects are expected to be subjected to rigorous scrutiny, and rightly so. So within the discipline of project management, a critical gap has always existed, and that gap is one that this book seeks to fill. The gap between project execution and audit expectations. This book by Ezeillo Joshua Ezeillo boldly confronts that gap. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the purpose of this book? The purpose is to equip project managers, auditors, reviewers, and I go further to say procurement officers and accountants with the requisite knowledge and tools required to ensure that projects are delivered with zero audit queries and exceptions. No sport. That phrase, no sport, in the book, in my own understanding, is not just a slogan, because it captured my attention. No sport. That's the title. It ended with no sport. No sport. I started looking at the clean paper, a clean white paper, and then I went ahead to go and bring a black ink and put there. That was a sport. And the cleanliness of that particular paper can no longer be accepted. So what our author is talking about in no sport is a philosophy, and a deliberately chosen to represent a culture of cleanliness, precision, preparedness, and proactive compliance with rules and procedures. Now, people, going through memory lane, based on the experience gathered over the years, our author, Ezeillo, Joshua, created an essential guide for project management teams, especially those on projects funded by international finance organizations, bilateral and multilateral agencies, with a practical way to go in delivering projects that will serve any scrutiny from anyone. Can also be imbibed by our own project management teams on projects funded from the Treasury, both at the federal, state, and local government levels. If applied to Treasury funded projects, we will avoid situations of Honorable Minister of the Mind, Honorable Minister of the Mind. First, you very well that was said. When you are taking Honorable Minister of the Mind, it is something that is false. Or the situation whereby the CEO of the local federal government agency runs while trying to testify before a committee of the National Assembly. Or because the project management team in that organization of an important national project scattered over the country failed to deliver with zero doubts. This book being presented today is an expo of what auditors and reviewers look for in the assessment of projects and remove the perennial anxiety that project management teams suffer at the hands of auditors and reviewers. The book serves as a preparation manual that equips every project manager to confidently exhibit best practices in financial management, procurement, contract administration, and risk management, with emphasis on review and audit readiness. This book, our erudite author, addresses and teaches the following. Summarize them. 1. It teaches project planning and design integrity. That's the first it teaches. The second is implementation discipline and documentation. That's the second thing that this book teaches. The third one is monitoring, evaluation, and reporting systems. How do you monitor? How do you report? The fourth is risk management and mitigation strategies. When risks are being undertaken, how do you win it? The fifth one is audit preparedness and response mechanism. When auditors are coming, are you prepared? What are the responses that you need to issues that they are looking for? Finally, is procurement procedure and governance project process. Each chapter of this book and sections builds logically on the other, ensuring that the reader not only understand what it is about, you understand what to do, but also how to do it right from the very beginning to the end. No ambushes, no sports. What are the core contributions of this book? One of the most outstanding contributions of this book that we are here to launch is its ability to bridge two often disconnected worlds. The world of project managers focused on delivery, and the world of auditors and reviewers focused on compliance. By aligning these perspectives, the book promotes a unified approach to project execution. One where audit considerations are integrated from the very beginning and not treated as an afterthought. What happens in our country is that people go about just implementing projects, not doing the right thing, documenting what they have done. Nobody considers that. Because nobody knows that tomorrow questions will come. Nobody. The other day in my residence, my son asked me, Dad, why are we keeping these documents? Why are we keeping them? We have been retired from service for 9 years. Why are we still packing them? Why don't we just burn this thing and create space? I told him, In government, even when you leave, you can still be called back until after 10 years. So those things will be there. If your daddy is called, it is those documents there that I will use to defend myself. So, if you want me to continue to be here, give those things, please. So, this is bringing it home. But we need not keep those documents if people have done their job and complied with the rules and regulations. But when we don't do that, anything can happen. So this alignment resonates strongly with global best practices promoted by institutions such as the Project Management Institute, PMI, and the International Organization for Standardization, ISO. Now, what is the practical value and usability of this book? Through to its subtitle, the book provides strategies for avoiding common audit pitfalls and banana peels using our local term. Remember the time of Chukwu Kadibo and the rest of them. Beware of the banana peels. If you read this book, you will not be caught in banana peels. So it provides a practical guide to practitioners and will-be professionals. Indeed, the strength of this book by author relies in one, is clear and accessible language. The second one is step-by-step guidance and approach to whatever subtopics that are in the book. Right from the auditors, how the auditor will go about it, what is expected, what you are supposed to give, the kind of questions it's going to bring about. They are all stated in that book. So that anybody, even if he pretends to be an auditor or he pretends to be the project manager, can answer and fully follow the steps written in that book. Another one is the actionable insights and emphasis on real-world applications. The author gave examples, real-world, of what they want, because he was audited by international auditors, PwC and the rest of them, and having fulfilled, and there were no spots. That is what qualified him to write this particular book, as Professor Onwalu said. Finally, it's not merely a theoretical work, but a working tool. The author did not write from the academic point of view. No, he broke it down. It's a tool that you need. You are going to the farm. Did you go with your hoe? Did you go with your knife? Those are the tools you need to work with. So he gave it to every professional, including the procurement officers. They're all there in the book. He covered everybody. So those who will use this book will find it in it practical frameworks, a checklist for compliance, and guidance on documentation and reporting, which is very important and which is very key, like I was alluding earlier on. Now, what is the relevance of this book to stakeholders, including those assembled here? This book is highly relevant and should be the Bible or Quran to a wide range of stakeholders, namely project managers who must deliver efficiently and transparently, auditors who assesses compliance and performance, reviewers and evaluators who ensures accountability, government MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies where public trust and resource stewardship are paramount, development partners and institutions seeking measurable impact of what their funds have been able to achieve, procurement officers who must act transparently at all times, students of humanities and environmental studies who will benefit maximally, and finally, Nigerian public and people for whom the bell tolls. Whether the money came from abroad or whether it's from Treasury, is meant for the Nigerian people. If that thing did not achieve the measurable impact or the outcome that is desired, we have failed. The money has gone to dust. And that is why we see what is going on across the country. So in a country like Nigeria, where project outcomes are closely tied to national development, or where at times resources spent on projects are hardly visible, yet huge amount of resources were claimed to have been spent. The importance of such a practical guide in project management like this book and execution cannot be overemphasized. What are the other notable strengths of this book? Let me highlight a few notable strengths. One of them is clarity of thoughts and expression. Easy to understand and no ambiguity is in the book. Strong practical orientation from beginning to the end, A to Z. Everything about work plan, procurement process, auditing, what even the project manager should do and how to go about it, A to Z, are all in this book. Timeliness and relevance to the issues of today. Integration of audit and management perspectives. The auditor comes with his own perspective. The project manager has his own. And at times they clash. So this book has been able to integrate them so that those clashes have been removed. And then finally, promotion of a proactive compliance culture. This book promotes the culture of compliance. And if we comply, there is no need for having 10 years sleepless nights, waiting to see if I will be called to national planning. But thank God I'm on my 9th year. So it's just some few. And these things that I said are reflected. These highlights that I've just said are reflected in the definitions in the book, classifications, procedures, processes, guidelines, rules of engagement, of project management, auditing, contract management, fiduciary management, procurement work plan, procurement processes, work plan, and governance, among others, are broken down for any layman in any of the fields to understand, and even to follow what any professional in those fields are doing. Nobody is going to confuse you because you already know it. So whatever jigoism he comes with, you just be watching him. You know where he's going. You know what he wants. And you know what he expects. And you provide it. And the man will go and write to you, my son, you have done very well. In other words, it makes our work a lot easier. In a nutshell, any professional who wants to do a thorough job using this book, we guarantee a belief in what is next, unless he chooses to do something otherwise. So, put your edition. There will be second edition. There will be third edition. As things are changing, you continue to update. So this is just the first. More welcome. So those ones I advise to expand on sector specifics. Secondly, we might have to include more localized examples for diverse operating environments. And thirdly, we need to begin discussions on emerging digital audit tools. What am I saying? That digital tools are coming in all professions. So the next editions of this book may have to include those. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, this book is more than a publication. It is a call to higher standards, a guide to better practice, and a tool for transformation. I congratulate the author, Mr. Osondu Joshua Omuzuriko, for his outstanding contribution to scholarly work, and commend this book to all who are committed to excellence in project delivery. That is, with no spot. Thank you, and God bless everyone.